Well, I want to welcome everyone to Designing and Building Sustainable Homes That Make Life Easier, a look inside the Universal Design Living Laboratory. This course is approved for one continuing education unit, AIA HSW, GBCI, AIBD, Green Certified Professionals, and pending one Lead for Homes specific. I'm your host today and moderator. My name is Brett Little, and I'm the executive director here with the Green Home Institute. The Green Home Institute is a 501c3 nonprofit. We're celebrating our 15th year this year, and we exist to empower people to make healthier and more sustainable choices in the renovation and construction of the places we live. We want to thank our overall major sponsor that supports the Institute, Andersen Windows and Doors. Check them out, and Renewable Andersen for your existing home needs, as well as our gold and silver level sponsors, Cake Systems, Certainteed by Saint Gobain, Panasonic, and Warmboard. Do you support greener homes? You can become a member today. Help us keep these events free. Get discounts on other trainings and recordings, as well as discounts on your green certification for LEED, Green Star, and many others. All right, everybody. Well, I want to welcome Rosemary Rossetti. Very exciting to be working with her and talking with her. This is our actually second webinar session that we're doing on this topic. Rosemary is an internationally known speaker, writer, consultant, and works with design professionals and builders to help them integrate universal design and green building features into their project. She and her husband, Mark Leader, built the Universal Design Living Laboratory, the most ambitious national demonstration home and garden in Columbus, Ohio. So with that, I will hand it off to Rosemary.
Well, thank you, Brett. Welcome. Currently, you're looking on the screen at the Universal Design Living Laboratory, where I'm speaking to you from. This home is located in Columbus, Ohio. As you can see, it is a architecturally beautiful structure inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright with the prairie-style architecture. We're going to take a look inside the home to look specifically at universal design features, and when appropriate, talk about some of the features that are also green in addition to universal design. My husband and I built this home and have lived here now for 3 years. I wanted to set the context of why we built a home, why a national demonstration home, and how this whole project came into being. In addition, we'll be going through each room and giving you an opportunity after the webinar to take a virtual tour to go back through the house and see it in more detail. But to set the context of the project itself, I wanted to share with you my personal story. You're looking at the screen at a bicycle trail and a crushed bicycle helmet and the headlines from the newspaper. I had a tragic accident on June 13th, 1998 on that bicycle trail. Mark and I were celebrating our 3rd wedding anniversary when suddenly an 80-foot tall tree fell on top of me, paralyzing me instantly from the waist down. That was the life-changing event that made this project an evolution. Because of the injury, because I came home from the hospital in a wheelchair, life became difficult for me. I was in the hospital for the whole summer of 1998, trying to cope with a spinal cord injury and trying to learn how to function from a wheelchair. I came home in July of 1998. And as the seasons progressed, trying to figure out how to live in a home that wasn't designed for my disability. This is the home we were living in at the time I was injured. We had to install an electric porch lift that was a $10,000 modification just for me to get into the house. It was a 2-story home with a full basement. Therefore, half of the house was totally inaccessible to me. It was very difficult as I transferred groceries from my van into the front, taking each load of groceries up that porch lift. And in fact, we took a slide one day of that process. It kind of makes me chuckle a little bit as I look at this slide, realizing that that was the way I had to bring groceries in. I had to put them in my teeth because I needed both hands free in order to travel across the sidewalk and up the porch lift. It gives new meaning to the warning that my mother used to give me, and not talk with your mouth full of food. She never said anything about having a mouthful of groceries. When I was cooking in the home, the cooktop was at 36 inches, so it wasn't an ideal height for me in the old kitchen. And in fact, when I was frying shrimp one day, Mark took the camera out. The cooktop is too high. I had to use a pair of tongs and a pair of safety glasses just so I wouldn't get flash fried. And now that I look at this photo, it reminds me a little bit of Martha Stewart combined with Jacques Cousteau. This house obviously wasn't going to work for us. We lived here for a number of years trying to figure out what we would do. And finally, in 2004, we hired an architect, Patrick Manley, and started our journey of discovery to design our new home. The new home is available for you to view on our website, and I encourage all of you to come. It is the UDLL.com, the National Demonstration Home and Garden. It is 3,500 square feet. Most of the living space is on the first floor. It has a 4-bedroom combination with 4-car garage. There is a clear story, and there is a small loft on the second floor. There's an elevator that goes all the way to the loft and to the full basement. Our full basement is the size of the house and contains a new training center that we've just started to utilize. The house is currently green rated, and we're just excited about this announcement. It's only a few weeks ago that the U.S. Green Building Council gave us our official notification that we have a LEED Silver rating on LEED for Homes. We also celebrated a few years ago the National Green Building Program Gold rating on the green certification programs. In addition to being a green home, we are currently the top-rated universal design home in North America. We say that very confidently because we have followed the guidelines of 3 national certification programs and received their highest rating on all 3 programs. The highest rating for livable design was their platinum level. This is a program out of California. The gold level was the highest rating on Zero Step out of Michigan. And then the LifeFlex home is out of Colorado, getting their highest gold rating. I want to take you inside the house from my perspective, a person who uses a manual wheelchair. I sit in my wheelchair at 4'1". If I were standing, I'm at 5'1". So as you're coming into the portico, the covered porch, you can park there, you can come in, and you can see the gentle grade that brings a very smooth ride from coming into the house. It's a very welcoming approach. And at night, we have a motion light that comes on, which is an LED light right over the front door. As you're looking at that entrance, you'll realize it is a grand entrance that really provides a welcoming approach. I want to introduce you to the Google virtual tour. We were contacting Google a few years ago asking would they take this project on, and indeed they were very enthusiastic. They sent a photographer here about a year ago, and he took over 700 photos inside and outside of the Universal Design Living Laboratory. He then stitched them together for a panoramic view, and you can go to udll.com and click on the tab Tour and click on the tab Virtual Tour. And this is what you'll see. You'll actually see the X on the front lawn, and you can take your mouse right up into the house and into the front door and travel anywhere you want. This is one of the examples then as you're moving your mouse forward, you can actually go through the front entry, go all the way back to the back, or take a left and going into the powder room or the master suite. One thing I'd like to point out here is the slope was a 1 in 20 slope, making it very easy to come into the home from a wheelchair perspective. As you do come into the home, it's all hardwood floors except for the bathrooms, which are porcelain tile. This is a hickory hardwood flooring and engineered flooring. Underneath the hardwood flooring, we put in a very thin rubber mat that's made of recycled rubber tires. This has made it a very soft surface, easier on your joints when you're walking on it, and it quiets the walking surface. Coming into the house, there's another perspective from the Google tour as you're seeing the home from a perspective of the wideness of the door. The wideness is 36 inches, making it easy as we need at least a 32-inch clearance for most wheelchairs to come in. So we made all doors, interior and exterior, 36 inches wide. A little closer look at that front door. The view on the left is a close-up of our front door threshold. It's only a quarter of an inch. We did that by first building the house and then pouring the concrete for that slope and that front porch entrance. I also want to point on the right-hand side, now that you're seeing the art glass door, we actually have multiple heights of peepholes in that door. My husband is 6'4", so he likes the peephole up at the top. There's another peephole in the middle for me, and then down at the bottom, there's a little one for our cat as she looks out the front door. Universal design was a concept throughout the house, and we wanted to make sure that we had enough peepholes for people of various heights to look out of our front door. Here's a side view of that portico, so you can see that 1 in 20 slope at the front entrance. We have everything covered so rain and snow and sleet is not going to come into the house. And you can see a close-up there of that front garden entry. I want to take you now around to the back of the house, the rear entry, as you're looking at the patio. It's very extensive, made with pavers. The pavers are universal design in that they are ADA approved. They are constructed so that the friction helps when you're walking on it so you don't slip and fall if they were slightly wet. If you have a wheelchair or cane or crutches, you'll have a much better safe surface. I also picked these pavers because it's very smooth when you roll over it, contrary to some of the cobblestone pavers that I tried. These are also a concrete paver and they're permeable, so they're also green. As you look at the back entry, we have a 2-story patio. The lower deck then is connected by that pathway in the front that goes over a bridge. That is another 1 in 20 slope, and the bridge is the waterfall that is connecting a 4-level tiered waterfall and rainwater harvesting system to the upper deck. All of the doors in the back are covered, again, to protect this from rain and from snow. Here's a close-up of one of those back doors with the large picture window from the great room. And as you can see, we have done a very careful job of making sure that the 6-foot overhangs were protecting the door so that we didn't have water coming into the house. We also raised the elevation of the house so it's slightly above the grade so that any water that comes in will grade down into the channel drains. We have no gutters on the house. All the rain just comes down from the roof into the channel drain and then is siphoned out through drains throughout the rest of the property to a stream in the back of the house. Now let's go inside the home, and we're going to start with the kitchen, the heart of the home. We wanted it to be independent for me. I am the main cook. Mark does some of the preparation of salads and does some of the cleanup, but we wanted to make sure that we had the 5-foot turning radius throughout the home, that it was going to be totally convenient and safe for multiple users. Here's a good illustration of the home and the functionality. As I was making a peach cobbler the other day, just to show you, we have 3 heights of the center island. The island that I'm sitting at is a 30-inch height, where it's very easy for me to roll under. We can also include more chairs here and have a dine-in center island. You'll see the bread machine is out on another second level. That level is a 34.5-inch countertop. And you can also see there's an electric outlet. We have a couple of those on the center island, making it very easy for appliances. The third level of the island, the taller one, is 42 inches from the floor. That's Mark's preferred height. When he does salad preparation, he's at that island. He is 6'4", and so that one works out the best for him. As we look now at a perspective of the perimeter counter, I'd like to point out that we made a compromising height on the perimeter. Mark would have liked a 36-inch countertop. I probably would have liked a 30 or 32-inch. So the compromising height was 34 inches from the floor to the top of the counter. We also did something to bring the wall cabinets down so that I could have a better reach on the first level shelving. What we did is narrowed that space from the top of the counter to the bottom of the wall cabinet. And you can see it's 14 inches. In a typical kitchen, that space is 18 inches. So when you look at this, everything's been brought down for a definite advantage for shorter people or those who are seated. Our goal was to have 50% of the storage in that kitchen reachable from a seated position. The other dimension that's shown here is the width of that counter. It's a 24 3/4-inch width, allowing me a good reach so that I can actually reach that plug and plug things into that back wall. Some other details on the kitchen as you look low onto the toe kicks around the cabinets. These cabinets were designed with toe kicks so that I could put my footrest and shoes under that 9-by-6-inch toe kick illustrated on the left, highlighted in gold. On the right lower corner is a small photograph from my previous kitchen that did not have that toe kick. And you can see the difficulty of trying to get close to the counter. This really makes a difference for me so that all my approaches to the countertops are front ways rather than having to be sideways. It's a lot more ergonomic as I'm using knives to chop to go forward into the counter space rather than being at a side angle. It's really saved in lowering my fatigue and much more safe as I have knives in my hand. Another view of the kitchen is the center island and the mounting of the two ovens. Here you're seeing on the left our microwave, which is also a convection oven, and our side hinged oven, which is a convection and standard oven. These are mounted within the 42-inch center island section, making these accessible to me and to all other users. The side doors are extremely important, especially on the right. That oven door goes all the way back, keeping that space totally open so that putting things into the oven and out of the oven are totally an independent process now for me. Another feature that makes independence much more easy for me is this cooktop. Notice the knee spaces there as I roll under it. This is a 34-inch width space so that it makes life easier. Again, we're with a 34-inch countertop. You can also see the controls for the cooktop are up in the front, making that safer so I don't have to reach across the counters to turn on the burners. Another feature that we've placed is a pot filler. As you're looking on the right, that is a wonderful convenience to have water right by the cooktop as I fill the in-counter steamer and pasta cooker, as well as pots and pans. Now take a look at that pasta cooker. That's the third element with the lid on it at the cooktop. That is an amazing appliance that I'm so happy we got. We fill that with water and then we boil it. We can then put in a basket with the uncooked noodles. With a name like Rossetti, you'd expect me to be cooking spaghetti sometime. Well, indeed I do, and it's so much easier to put the water into the steamer, boil it, lower in the pasta. When the pasta's done, I just drain the water for a few seconds and then serve it. When that is time to drain, all I do is turn that little single knob, and the water drains right there at the cooktop. Not only is it a pasta cooker, but it's also an encounter steamer. So it comes in handy to cook meats and fish and vegetables anytime I want to have a steamed meal. Very convenient. The other component that I felt was important to include was the convenience of these deeper drawers rather than fixed shelves. These are under-counter drawers that I think is a great design for current use. These hold very heavy stoneware plates and are very easy hardware to pull in and out. So all of my dishes are now accessible at the point of use is where the cooktop is. So it makes that very convenient to get the deep drawers to open and close. The drawer underneath holds all of my pots and pans. Another feature is this great pull-out pantry. This is the very narrow section to the left of the refrigerator freezer, but note when you pull out that pantry cabinet, there's just a lot of things that can be stored in that narrow space. Also on the right, I'd like to focus on a close-up of the hardware. We selected this D-style hardware throughout the entire house, making it easier rather than knobs. Someone with paralysis or some arthritis, it's very limiting. So we wanted to make sure that we pulled a hardware that was easy for everyone to utilize. The knee space under the sink makes it very convenient. We've just got a small cutout there, but there's also storage space under the sink. You can see I'm using a large nozzle that is a pull-out sprayer. There's also lever handles on all of the faucets throughout the house. When picking the sink, we wanted to make sure it wasn't too deep and that the disposer unit was in the back so that we could have the appropriate knee space necessary in order to function. The dishwasher. Everybody loves this dishwasher location. Everyone that comes in is just enamored with not having to bend down to load and unload dishes. What we did is raised it about 18 inches off of the floor, and that's creating a wonderful convenience for everyone as you just have a design consideration to put the dishwasher just a little higher. Now we're going to take a little tour into the bathrooms. This particular one is the powder room right off of the entrance. We have a motion light that comes on, and we have motion fans that come on so that any of our guests are greeted and don't have to fumble around to where the switches are. You can also see on the left-hand side a panel door that is keeping it a private view from looking at the toilet from the front door. That's a feng shui consideration so that we have a more beautiful view rather than in the white porcelain toilet coming in. Let's take another look at that bathroom from another perspective. Now that you can see that door, it's actually a pocket door with a panel that was put in place. That whole pocket door then slides into the wall so that it disappears from view, giving a lot more space for anyone that wants transfer space from a wheelchair or who needs additional space because they've got an assistant, a personal health care attendant that's helping them in that transfer. The second feature is the beautiful grab bar with that ergonomic curve to it. I find that's a great height and a great convenience with that curb. We also put phones by all of the toilets in the house, making it also a very convenient feature for emergencies. The toilet paper holder is a very simple system. There's no springs involved. It's just a simple vertical element, and you just slide the paper on it. It's very easy then for anyone to change a roll of toilet paper. Let's take another look at a second bathroom. We're now entering from the master bedroom as you're seeing the pocket door through the porcelain tiled area, which is our master shower suite, our master bath suite. Notice the transition, the flooring between the hardwood floor and the porcelain tile. Our installers did a perfect job. There is no threshold, no transition needed. It's just a perfectly smooth transition. All of our pocket doors throughout the house are saving a lot of floor space So we use them whenever possible with some great hardware so they slide very easily. As we come into that master suite, I wanted to show you some of the construction photos that were taken while the shower was being made. The shower size is 4 by 7 with 2 showering units, one for a seated user and one for a standing user. What you're seeing on the screen now is the 3/4-inch plywood that was totally installed for the grab bar reinforcement. In addition, we have 2-inch by 8-inch reinforcement that's highlighted in red there for the shower seat that was going to be mounted there for that shower seat reinforcement. The green box is showing where the soap niche was going to be recessed into the wall. Also notice the glass block on that right-hand side. That allows lots of natural light into this curbless shower. Now that you can see the finished shower, this is the same view that we saw during construction. With the grab bar in place, the shower seat is mounted and it's adjustable in height. You're also seeing a gold highlighted space for the soap niche. You're seeing it has the adjustable height shower with preset controls on the temperature and also anti-scald controls. There's also a little highlighted curve on that ergonomic shower chair that I find very convenient. This shower has worked extremely well independently for me so that I can transfer from my wheelchair onto that shower chair and then roll my wheelchair out of the shower and lock it into place so that it stays dry. Here's another view of that shower during construction where we have the green board around the walls so that we wouldn't have moisture and mold and mildew on that shower wall. We have slanted the floor gradually to the back wall. So from left to right, there is a gentle slope for the water to drain. There's an inline channel drain that was put in with the base of permeable rubber so that water wouldn't gather and destroy the porcelain tile that was later put in. Let's take a look at that floor once it was installed. On the left, you can see the gradual slope going from the entrance to the back, where all the water goes to the back. And you can see a little close-up of the channel drain. We installed the smaller tiles in the shower so that it'd be more safe, less slip resistant. And we have a good tile with a coefficient of friction so that it is not slippery, with a lot of the grouting there that also helps so that you're not going to have an injury. That has worked very well. Some people have been asking me, Rosemary, doesn't water get out of the shower? I know it's slanted to the back, so most of the water is going to go to that back wall and drain, but doesn't some of it splash out? And so I took a picture the other day of Mark in the shower, and of course I had to crop this one for obvious reasons. Just to illustrate, while he's showering from that standing position, he's using his grab bar as a balance bar as he's washing his feet. So yes, water does come off of his body and does splash out of the shower. So what we did was bought a little squeegee, and if he wants to, it doesn't really matter because it's not going to hurt anything on the tile floor. He just uses a squeegee and gently siphons that water out from the larger porcelain tile back into the shower main area. And if that's not enough to get the water out, we send in the cat vac. We have a little cat that just loves licking water off of that shower floor, so she'll take up the rest of the water. As we turn our attention to the toilets that were selected in our home, we went with comfort heights throughout. A comfort height toilet is usually about 17 to 19 inches from the toilet seat to the floor. We also installed them about 18 inches from the side wall, so they were at a comfortable level for mounting the grab bars. On the green side, we used toilets that use about 1.2 gallons of water. Some of our toilets are dual flushing with a half flush and a full flush. So we were very conscious of the universal design component of a taller toilet, as well as toilets that didn't use much water. As we're looking at comfort height toilets, I couldn't help and resist taking this photo the other day of my cat. Now, this is not Garfield on a bench here. My cat thinks it's a watering source. Of course, if this was a cat watering bowl, it's not a comfort height for cats. But this is one of the toilets in our main bathroom area. So it is so much easier to have that comfort height toilet, to not sit as low and to help yourself get out with the grab bar there. We were at the showroom at Kohler, one of our sponsors, and Mark couldn't resist getting into the tubs to make sure that they were big enough for his 6'4" frame. We wanted to have a universal design whirlpool, so it wasn't just big enough for me, but also for him. It was also important to find a tub that had integrated grab bars, and you can see in this photograph that the grab bars indeed were integrated into the whirlpool tub. Later, we had it shipped in the white color, and here it is installed into the master bath. You'll notice the decking around is a solid surface, and it's really wide. It's got an 18-inch width around that decking. This is at the same height as my wheelchair cushion. So as I roll up to the side, I transfer by sitting, just sliding across onto the deck of the bathtub. I then just twirl around with my legs and then go into the bathtub. I hold on with both hands and I kneel down, and that's how I get myself in the tub and out of the tub, because I do have muscles in my upper legs and great muscles in my arms and shoulders. Mark also gets in the tub the same way, so there's a lot of safety factors in not having to stand and get in and out of the tub. Also, I'd like to point out on the faucet, it has a lever handle to let the water in and out. And you'll also notice we had added a handheld shower unit. That's really convenient for rinsing my hair and also cleaning the tub. Very convenient factor. As well as the natural light and the beautiful art glass that has let a lot of natural light into the home. We staged this photo so you could see the dramatic height difference between Mark and I. I mean, what other couple could illustrate universal design in a more dramatic way, knowing our height differences? As we look at the cross-section of our master bathroom, you'll start to see how it all flows together. You'll see now the vanities on the left-hand side. Let's take a little closer look. You'll start to see the one on the right-hand side has the knee space for me. We didn't have to cover the plumbing because my legs never came into contact with it anyway. But here's an interesting point. We were very surprised by the height differential of what Mark wanted for a countertop height and what I wanted as a preferred countertop height. We thought it was going to be a lot more variation, but it's only a 2-inch variation. Mark's counter on the left is a 35-inch countertop. Mine was a 33-inch. So we were very surprised and pleased. People don't even notice it when they come into the bathroom, that has been modified and customized for each of us. Let's now go from the master bathroom into the next room. We call it the wardrobe. It's a combination master closet with the laundry room. And I'm telling you, this room gets the most oohs and ahs from our visitors. We've had over 1,800 people through our home so far. First of all, when you come into this room, motion lights come on. We also have daylighting with natural light from the windows on the sidewall, as well as natural light from the skylight. Our washer and dryer are front loaded, and they're on little pedestal storage drawers. We pack and unpack in this room. We do all of our laundry in this room. We have a sink on the left-hand side for any hand washing. Let's take a closer look. Here's another view of that center island. and some of the storage spaces. We have cubby holes of adjustable height for all of our folding clothes, as well as our shoes and the racks there. You'll notice on our hanging clothes, we have a top rod and a lower rod. Mark's materials, all his hanging clothes are on the top and mine are on the bottom. The island itself is a 33.5-inch countertop, making that accessible for me and Mark for folding clothes and packing and unpacking luggage. 50% of the accessible shelves and hanging space are accessible from a seated position. A little more close-up look. We have the full-length mirror here in the room. We have lots of low-hanging rods, and the sink is roll under. We have on the right-hand side, you can start to see the low-hanging rods. So when I take clothes out of the dryer, the appliance on the right with the side hinge door, I can just take them out and hang them up to dry, so ironing is reduced. Fat chance you're ever going to see Mark ironing in our house, but this was a funny shot. We took it at the International Builders Show at the display of Iron Away. This was a company we approached early on and asked them if they had ever heard of Universal Design ironing boards, and indeed they had not. They were very welcoming to the idea of creating the first ironing board with multiple heights so that you could use it from a seated position as well as a standing position. And here we are at their display a year after our first discussion, where it was now on the market as an adjustable height ironing board. Mark, of course, had a different set of perspective throughout this project as he looked at universal design. It really opened his eyes to the world of possibilities and to understand not only creating the house for me, but for him and for any occupants that would be here living with us or visiting with us for years to come. I hope that these slides have given you a perspective from our point of view that has helped you to understand the importance, the value, and the benefits of universal design and how they go hand in hand with green. When we look at sustainability, we look at the economical sustainability, the energy efficiency of sustainability. But one new piece that I'd like to point out is the social sustainability, and that's the universal design piece. It's so important for a home to be accessible in order to be sustainable. So you first have to be able to get into the house and utilize it. I'm encouraging you to go to our website after this webinar. I'm hoping that you've got a sense of excitement at this point and share my enthusiasm so that you can go through this tour on udll.com. Take the virtual tour. If anyone needs to get in touch with me, I'm at rosemarie@udll.com. You can get me by phone here in Columbus at 614-471-6100. I have presented to you just a few features of the entry of our bathrooms and of our kitchen and of our wardrobe laundry room. There are so many more elements in our house. I invite you to take a tour and take a look. Brent, let's see if we've had some questions come in from those of you who are listening and participating in today's webinar. What are some of the questions that you have seen come up?
Yeah, thanks, Rosemarie. And for those of you listening in, start dropping in a couple of your questions there in the Q&A. I see a couple of them already. And the first one here from Scott. And I think, this is a question that comes up all the time when we're talking about green building, and especially at this point, talking about adding in accessibility and beyond ADA and universal design, and especially adding them together. And that question, being, especially looking at first upfront costs, versus payback. I don't know if you want to share this or kind of hint to it, Rosemarie, but the question is, what was the cost per square foot of your home?
That question can't be answered on a fair decision. Because of the volunteers and because of the amount of work that Mark and I did, we can't possibly incorporate the cost of labor because we had so many sponsors, so many volunteers. These products were donated. We had over 200 sponsors that are listed on our website as contributors. So it is very difficult for us to come up with any calculations on a cost per square foot. This house wasn't designed as a typical design. It's the first house we've ever built. We are not builders, yet we were the general contractors here. What I can say is that we've had appraisers out here for refinancing purposes for the bank. And we know that this house is appraising right over $1 million. This is a custom luxury home on 1.5 acres. You can do this type of universal design on a smaller house, even a Habitat for Humanity. What makes this house unique and what brings the price up are the types of finishes and fixtures that we selected, with the hardwood flooring and the porcelain tile and the silestone countertops and the Kohler appliances and plumbing throughout the house. That's what is the quality of the products that we selected is part of raising the resale or the appraised value of this home. But I don't want to leave this webinar with a taste of, oh my gosh, we could never do this on a moderately priced $200,000 or $300,000 home, or even a low-income house like a Habitat home. My point is, you can integrate the same types of features of a 1/2-inch threshold, of a 1 in 20 slope entrance to get into the home, of multiple heights of countertops, of having a raised dishwasher, and some of the other features you've seen with multiple heights of counters. That can be integrated right into the beginning of design. It's about the design itself. That need not cost more. It's doing it right from the beginning.
Thanks, Rosemary. Very helpful, and I think I think you hit it right on the head there. Another question we have from George here. Let's talk about your refrigerator. What kind of refrigerator do you use, side by side or bottom freezer?
Our refrigerator research showed to me that the side-by-side configuration of the freezer on the left and the refrigerator on the right was much easier. We went with Whirlpool, and the reason we did is that particular refrigerator model had shelves that were able to be pulled out and rolling out on the refrigeration side. I have very short arms, and it's very difficult for me to reach into the back of a refrigerator shelf. And what I liked about the Whirlpool one is that those shelves actually pulled out, making those so much more convenient. They also had great vision on all the drawers, for the crisper drawers, for the fruits and vegetables, as well as the meats and cheeses drawer. They had great views so I could see what was in the drawer. They also had great lighting, and all of the shelves were adjustable in height. On the freezer side, I really liked that they had drawers there too that were pull-outs, so that it wasn't a chore to find things that I had stored. They were smaller drawers, and I could go into those drawers quickly to find things. Of course, the top freezer and bottom configuration was the worst configuration. We had that in our previous home, and I knew that one wasn't going to work because I could never reach anything in that top-loaded freezer. I tried other configurations with the freezer and the bottom with the drawer, and I found that cumbersome because when you fill that freezer on the bottom full of food, that drawer becomes very heavy and cumbersome to get around. So I'm happy with that side-by-side configuration.
Thanks, Rosemary. Another question that we have here, what aspects of the design do you think ended up crossing over, in quotation marks, and could those be incorporated in standard home design?
I would hope that what you're seeing can be incorporated. Simple things like lever handles. There's no need for doorknobs anymore. Simple things like locating light switches a little lower and locating the electric outlets a little higher. Simple things like having at least one entrance of the home being visitable with at least a 36-inch wide door and no more than a half-inch threshold. As we look at putting in showers, thinking about the convenience factor of having these curbless showers, I think they're so much more modern. And now that we look at the functionality of it, the generations of today are seeing these showers as a modern element, saying, my goodness, these are great, large, quick in and outs. Most people are taking showers over taking soaking tubs. And we're finding as we're talking to builders that they're starting to see more emphasis on these curbless showers as people are picking floor plans and they're including them more often. I'm also finding that some of the progressive builders are putting universal design up front with their buying market, sharing with them, here are some features you can include, and showing is there a cost change for putting in a 36-inch door throughout the house versus our standard 32-inch. These should be easy decisions to make for the buyer as they look at the small cost perhaps of an upcharge on the total cost of a home, looking at, okay, maybe you've added $4 or $5 or $6 or $8,000 more to add 30 or 40 more convenience features and safety features. Looking at what that does for your safety, convenience, peace of mind, and living in the home for a long time. And then realizing as you're financing that home with interest rates at 4, 5, and 6%, how much more per month is that really costing you to add those features that you're going to find of huge value? Put them in now rather than figuring out the cost of remodeling later.
Great, thanks. We definitely got some time for some more questions. Here's another good one here from Jim. What was the process for designing and then constructing the house?
The beginning process was Mark and I coming up with a sketch of a floor plan, taking the rooms from our existing home in terms of their size and deciding if those rooms were the right size for us or needed to be larger. We then had a very rough drawing for our architect, Patrick Manley. He then created the floor plan with our approval. He created all the 5-foot turning radiuses throughout the floor plan so that we could be assured that the wheelchair had adequate space and design. We then took the floor plans and went forward and approached Mary Jo Peterson to be our interior designer. She is very well noted throughout the nation as one of the leading kitchen and bath designers in universal design. She took on the project for all the bathrooms, for the kitchen, and the wardrobe laundry room to configure the cabinets and help us in selecting all the appliances. We then hired the overall interior designer, Anna Lyon. Then we hired Ardra Zincon, our lighting designer. We then approached the Craftmade company. They became our sponsor for all the cabinets, and we started working with their interior design staff. We then started working with the Kohler interior design staff. Then we had a landscape designer and architect, Bill Gerhardt, for all the landscaping. This was hugely a team effort with the architect, the interior design team, and Mark and I all being a part of the team. This was not a slow process. We started in the fall of 2004 by hiring the architect, and we didn't start breaking ground for many years later. It was like a 5-year process and continued to tweak that design during construction. Construction was 32 months. That was a long process. We thought it was only going to take about 18, but there were a lot of delays. And of course, this was our first house, so it went a lot slower than we thought.
You know, and going with that, as far as you know, what was your process for designing construction? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you utilized, you know, the Zero Step or National Green Building Standard or the Lead for Homes programs to guide the design and construction.
Well, we used all the certification programs, the 3 universal design programs, as well as the 2 green programs. We had very stringent checklists from all 5 of those certification programs. And the Green Home Institute, working with you, Brett, was part of that process to have the third-party raters come in at various times for us to share all of our photos during construction as well as after construction. We also sent in videos on the universal design components for the livable design. Since they're in California, we did all of the inspection virtually. Also, the Zero Step folks, since they're in Michigan, they did all the certification inspections virtually. We had enough video, we had enough still photography. In fact, if any of you want to see the construction photos, go to our website and you can click on the tab on the home and go to the construction photos. They're all there. Those were used to justify and prove that these features were, in fact, installed properly.
So another question we have here from George: have you found any production builders that make universal design a standard design feature, or at least some of the items in regards to universal design?
As I attended the International Builders Show and went to many of the sessions for the 50 Plus Housing Council, I've met with lots and lots of builders nationwide who do believe universal design is the only way to go. So you have to be judicious in your community to find these folks. Oftentimes you can find them because they are certified through the National Association of Home Builders as certified aging in place. Also through the National Association of the Remodeling Industry, they have some people who are certified as a universal design specialist. Here in the Central Ohio market, I've been working very closely with many of our builders to try to show them what we've built and help them in redesigning some of their existing models and helping them with the prototype design so that they could build a new prototype, having these new features and pricing them and offering them as now standard universal design features. But it's a slow process. We're nowhere near having enough production homes where the builder will automatically give options for some of these features.
Great, Rosemary. Well, we've got some time for a couple more questions here, but there is one thing I did want to point out, and you guys can access a little more information about this on our website. But here's a link here with a little write-up we've done. There is a lot of activity going on with accessibility. It was the 25th anniversary this year of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And if you're aware of that ADA standard, it's really made a huge impact in commercial and multifamily buildings. But it actually doesn't have any connection at this point to smaller residential and single-family projects. And so, so for us, it's about how can we put together programs and guidance on accessibility in smaller and single-family homes, because that is important too. But anyway, on that note, there has been a lot going on with accessibility as far as legislatively, as far as incentives go. Something in the Ohio state legislature, something on the national end. And then also there has been some unique studies coming out on homes with accessibility features, at least in the state of Ohio. And so, Rosemary, I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit to some of that activity that's been going on and just update the audience.
In Ohio, we're very excited about this initiative. Our state legislature just received information that was put together by a bipartisan group of legislators that would like Ohio to provide $5,000 of a grant to any family or any builder that would put accessibility features into a home. We are just beginning that process in the legislature to see if the state of Ohio will pass this legislation. We put a cap of $1 million on it to start it out, but we'll see what happens. It could really benefit a lot of builders and a lot of families to have that $5,000. That goes a long way when you think about adding some of these features. Also in Ohio this summer, the research was concluded through the Ohio Developmental Disabilities Council. Jack Nasser was the lead researcher from the Ohio State University, and his study focused on visitability. Visitability is an international movement looking at how we have at least one entrance with the ability for someone to come in without steps and with a wider door and with a threshold that's easy to get into and with a passageway that would lead to at least a half a bathroom that's accessible. So as we look at the visitability movement, Ohio did some research with consumers, appraisers, and realtors, and we are really pleased with the results. When the realtors were asked to compare photographs of homes that had the visitability features compared to homes that did not have, they valued the homes with visitability worth $15,000 more. $15,000 more for the resale value of a home for visitability. They also said, this was surprising, that those homes would sell faster. That puts the price tag and the realtors in a really good position as they're helping the builders put some pressure on builders to build more visitable homes.
Great, thanks, Rosemary. That's so yeah, anybody wanting to learn more in regards to the legislation or the study that came out of Ohio, there's some links that you can see here on your screen, and we'll be sending this article out to all of you as a quick follow-up. Before we wrap up here, for those of you who for those who want to visit your house, how can they reach out? Can they schedule a tour? Do you have any upcoming events or tours?
We do offer tours by appointment at a price of $15 a person. We like groups of around 20 to 30 people. So please contact me if you have a group that would like to come in, and we'll schedule a private tour. Lasts about an hour and a half. We just had a class yesterday of 19 realtors through the Columbus Realtors. They got 3 hours of continuing education credit. So this was the first class that we've offered to the local realtors. We're offering another one that's open to any other realtor that would like to attend on November 10th in the afternoon. It is a 3-hour class. They will get an hour and a half tour plus an hour and a half seminar. And anyone interested can go to columbusrealtors.com and sign up for the class on Universal Design on November 10th.
Hey, great. Thanks. We're going to wrap up here. Why don't you real quick just let everybody know where they can find more information if they want to go to your website or reach out to you?
Yes, they can definitely go back to my website at udll.com. You can get a hold of me through internet. My email address is rosemarie@udll.com.
All right. Well, thanks for everyone for joining us. Thank you, Rosemary. For those of you interested in incorporating green and accessible design, we'll be sharing some updates with you as far as some programs that we have that give you some step-by-step guidelines on incorporating it right into your bid specifications, scopes of work. We want to try to help you all make this real easy for your teams. Rosemary can also help guide you on that as well. For those of you listening on demand here, to get your continuing ed, just stick around. You'll be able to take a quiz right when you close this out. For those of you listening live, stick around here for one more second. There's a quick survey as well as your certificate of completion. So again, I want to thank Rosemary Rossetti of the Universal Design Living Laboratory. Thank you and have a good week.